Alright, this is how to get your squat back. A lot of my patients have lost their ability to get down into this deep squat position. A lot of this unfortunately starts as a child. We start to get some dysfunction in our low back and our lumbar vertebrae. We start to perceive some instability. The body detects that problem and starts to tighten the hips. And then over the years, we kind of lose this ability. But this is a foundational movement, and without it, we have kind of very limited tools in what we can do with the hip. And so this is going to give us a lot of tools and a lot of motion back into the hip and a lot of ability to strengthen our whole body. So I've thought about this for a while, but then all of a sudden I read it in an amazing book, and I miss Bauman here in Move Your DNA. She did such a great job on putting this progression together just to help you get this movement back. So I'm just going to take you through it. This is just a great movement book all around. She really talks about movement as food, and I really agree. We need to know how to move our bodies well so that we can continue to move well into our late life and just be happier and healthier for it. But let's take you through this progression, okay? So we're going to start by just getting on our back on the ground. And so our first progression, excuse me, is a nice flat back. And we're just going to pull those shins into our body, keeping that back flat. We're not getting into extension, like extension in that low back. That low back isn't pooching off the ground. It's staying nice and flat. And we're just pulling those in. And reach the head tall at the same time while you do this. Pull those in. You'll notice I'm in the squat position. I'm just on my back. You can even have someone put pressure into your shins here, and it actually feels really good. It stretches that lower back out. It just kind of flattens your spine. It feels nice. Okay, so our next progression is a common yoga pose, actually. You've probably even done this before. It's called child's pose. And so we're doing the same thing, but now we're just facing the ground. And so this one, the back is, we're going to go into as deep as we can, and we're going to let that back round, and that's okay for this one. And so up on all fours, shift the hips back to kind of in between the feet, and then reach the arms and body forward. This is just a great stretch too. It really opens up the lats, great for the upper back. And just reach. And then try to sit further and further back. Okay? So the next progression, we're going to come up, we're actually going to ground our toes a little bit. We're going to have kind of some active feet. And now we're going to try to keep our back flat. We're not going to let it round. Okay? So we're going to shift those hips back towards our heels until that back starts to round. Okay? And so you can do that just by putting a hand on your back if you can't really feel it. But until you're going to have a propensity to start to do this. And so just go until you're able to keep that flat. If you've lost that mobility and you're here, just try to keep that back flat, and then find that deepest pose you can do. And then just take some deep breaths into that. And so here you go. Hold. Let all that tension out. So just try to breathe into that tension area, whether that's in your back or in your hip. Just try to relax that progressively over time, just by shifting further and further into it. Okay? So another problem that people lose the ability to do this is they just have too much calf tension. And so their ankle mobility, their ability to bring their knee past their toes, has been lost. And so the way you can work on that is that you can roll up a towel, you can roll up a yoga mat, all of that's going to be good. And so you're just going to elevate that toe, and then you're just going to shoot that knee forward and stretch. And so you may only be able to come to here, and that's okay. And then you're just going to work on that over time. Okay? And deep, slow stretch. Get really into this. Good. And so if you have the knee bent, you're actually going to be able to work on the soleus a bit too. And so just shoot that forward. If that leg's more straight, it's going to be more a pure calf stretch. Okay? Now from here, we're actually going to start to squat vertical. So we're going to start to introduce gravity into our spine. So for this first progression, we actually can use that rolled up towel or yoga mat again. And we're actually just gonna put that under our heels. And so this is gonna make, you're gonna notice that this makes the movement a whole lot easier, okay? And so what you can do with this is you can start to decrease the height of this over time. And so if you're starting off with something this high, just unroll the towel one more time or unroll the yoga mat one more time so you're not on as much of the mat. And then from here, you're just gonna try to sit nice and low and just try to hang out. Cool. And then the next progression, of course, is losing your support. And so she calls this the squat any way you can, and the first time you're doing this without any sort of assistance, it's going to be probably pretty awkward, okay? You're probably not going to be able to get this low, and you're probably going to be more up here, and you're going to be up on your toes, and that's okay. We just want you to, this is the first time where we're going to start to allow poor form, but we need to get comfortable in this position at some point. And so just give this a shot, see what you can do, see how long you can hang out. The knees are coming out. At no point do the knees come in like this. That's going to create a lot of problems. So you're out like here, okay? Now, once we're at this stage, we can start introducing some assistance, okay? And so the first one I actually love holding on to a doorknob. Everyone has these at the house. You just open the door so you're actually looking along the door, it's in front of you, and then you're going to grab both sides of the doorknob, okay? And then from here, you're going to hold on, and then you're just going to shift this down and back. And if I'm not holding on to this, I'm going to fall backwards, okay? So you are holding yourself up with the doorknob. And so you're just holding yourself here, and you're trying just to get deep, but that back has got to stay flat. It's not rounded, okay? The next progression is you're going to go to something like a chair. Now, with a chair, you're not going to be able to pull as hard because you're actually going to move it, but it's just going to give you something to stabilize in front of, and you're probably going to be more vertical, or your pelvis is probably going to be higher. So you're just going to be here, and then you're working slowly into this position. Again, that back is staying flat. It's not, you're not letting that pelvic or that low back just kind of collapse in, okay? And so now we're all the way down to here, and then this is kind of our last progression, and then we're going to let that go at some point and sit down. Now this, we are letting that low back round. This is this kind of, this isn't an active squat, this is more just a passive. This would be kind of the third world squat, they would call it. This is where we can just hang out for a while. But if we're doing active load, we don't want to be this low or this into this rounded position. We want to go as low as we can to keep that low back flat. Perfect. Well, that is the squat progression. If you have any questions about that, just ask me in the office, and then we will go from there. Happy squatting.